It's already too late. We're already live. We've done it. I'm sorry. I just want you to know that it's not gonna happen to
Okay, so you heard it here, folks. Welcome to the playground experience, and it's been official that April will not be doing a meditation today. Woohoo! All right then. So let's keep it rolling.
you.
Live catching, folks, and I'm not going to record it over again. All right, then, here we are with the playground experience, and I have my lovely co-host here, Kathy D, and my other lovely co-host, April Williams. All right, then. So today's topic is addictions. We've seen this lovely DM that has been making his way upon. I seen today, I watched another tarot reader. Her name is Virgo the Oracle, and she talked about as soon as she did the whole thing, smack dab in the middle, I got sex addiction. So we are going to tackle the controversial topic of addictions and how you can do some activities for yourself if you are having some types of addictions, and then also for your counterpart, how can you help that? Because I get a lot of questions asked. Who say, well, they have it, I don't. What should I do? So we're going to handle and tackle that also today too. But let's talk about what are addictions. We know addictions come in different various forms as well. We got the things of purchasing and buying things. Like I you said, shopaholic. That could be addiction. I got 50 million pairs of shoes up here, downstairs, everywhere. That is a addiction as well. So I tell myself, I got maybe over 100 pairs of shoes. It's way over that. Shoes on that one. But that is another form of addiction. But we always get the classic ones. And I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to let Jedi Mind Trickster over there give you the list of what are addictions. But that's just another out of the box one. And I just want to confess the Divine Sunshine has. And we'll move on. All right, then, Kathy, take it away.
Well, actually, anything can be an addiction when it's not done in moderation. You can be addicted to working out. You can be addicted to counting calories. You can be, when you obsess over it, not having it or needing it, that is usually a pretty good sign you have an addiction. And some addictions are not, like working out is not a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. Moving your body, moving that energy, that's amazing. But when you feel you have to do it for 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and you're not eating and you're not taking care of the other things you need to take care of, self-care, are you letting your muscles rest? Are you healing? Or are you causing injuries to be worse? When you are doing those things and not taking care of yourself and the things you need to, then we're looking at an addictive state. And when it's something you can't stop, that, I know I've got to work out. Like, I love to go to the gym, but take me down to the Florida Keys. I don't even know where the gym is in the hotel. Don't even ask me. I don't want to know. My walking counts as working out. I'm not, but there are people that are, right. And now if you're a professional athlete, that's a whole nother thing. That's your job. There's a reason you're having to do that. But, other than that, that's when you have to stop and take notice of what it is. When you're not allowing yourself to have some enjoyment because of whatever this thing is, or it replaces or masks an emotion that you're trying to cover up. Like, say, I have really bad self-esteem and I was picked on as a kid because I was fat or I was ugly or whatever it was. So I'm going to work out and I'm going to be gorgeous. And I'm just going to make them all regret. I'm not working out to be healthy, to live longer, to have a good life, to take care of my body and self-care. I am either getting even or I'm masking that abandonment, that hurt emotion. And so addictions have many layers. We can be addicted to feeling good. My mom always told me anything that feels that good probably isn't good for you. She was referring to rum punch, but anyway, but and truly it isn't. But so it's things like that. You have to be mindful of the why behind it. Why do I do this? Why do I, why do I count calories obsessively? Is my health in such a state that I have to watch it that closely? then it's not an obsession because you know your why and you're trying to take care of yourself. But if it's because I still want to wear the same jeans I wore in high school, to show, whoever up, then we've got some. Or I'm afraid here's the famous one. I'm afraid my husband, boyfriend, spouse, lover, whatever will leave if I put on weight. Then we get into those addictions, and then we get into real health problems with anorexia, bulimia, all of those things, and they all feed off. And it's not just weight; it can be a workaholic.
True.
And usually, with workaholic, you're trying to mask something else out of your life. You don't want to deal with something. You're good at what you do. You enjoy what you do, and so maybe you're an amazing business person, but suck at relationships. So you're going to work, 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 have this amazing network in business. Like you can have all the friends in the world in business, but when it comes to relationships, especially if it's romantic, you're horrible at them. They don't work, they never work, or so you tell yourself. Then now you're a workaholic because you're avoiding being vulnerable, our favorite word, and getting out there and actually meeting people and being yourself. So addictions have many, many layers.
Gotcha.
One of the things that I pride myself on, and um, it's just I tend to be very unmainstream, just by the nature of it. So my child is also very unmainstream, but he's like an antithesis, like he's like a pinnacle of me. So it's very funny. So I was like, okay, I see it now. Um, I When I find myself out of control or wanting to be out of control, I purposely pull in the reins to show myself that I can control it. Right. So I was like, well, what is it? I've never had that real addiction where I just had to, except for, there have been some obsessive thoughts, right? And and then I realized that maybe, perhaps, it's that addiction to controlling the self,
That's what I
which
was.
which means that there
Mm-hmm.
is an attachment or a non-trust of the universe. I could boil the whole story down, right? But if you're trying to control every aspect, then you're really not allowing for the flow of the process, because the spiritual journey and working that together with what we're doing now, there is a flow. Now we can have our boundaries. We can allow ourselves to kind of bump across them, but it's when we get lost and swept up. And so a lot of the conversation going on in the twin flame community is, my twin is so addicted to XYZ, but there's nothing wrong with me. And because we are reflections of each other, when we do this mirroring process in one way or another, if your twin is exhibiting these things that you are really, really noticing, there's typically something within the self that gets to be examined in turn, right? So, as within, so without. So, as I began to kind of understand that I have issues with control, I kept creating scenarios where I could feel safe and secure releasing that control for a period of time, right? Because it would always kind of slip back in and show itself in other directions. But I took the time to reawaken the trust, reawaken that flow and co-creation with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part, I would say, is not judging yourself for having had what happened previous, right? Let's say you were controlling how you feel or express emotion, or you really want to speak with someone, but you're holding yourself back from speaking to them because you think you're going to be judged, or you want to appear a certain way. That itself is limiting you and showing you your addiction to the control, right? When you're withholding, that's an addiction of itself. So I like how Kathy D went through the list of the many possible addictions and the many possible avoidances. But even that over obsessive thinking and dwelling and replaying the past, that
Mm-hmm.
itself is one of the most addictive but seemingly non-addictions that people have, especially when they're trying to correct, like if I'd only done this or if they'd only done that. That is not actually um, flowing with to co-create the future. That's flowing to co-create the past, or to create more angst, or to create more
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. And so I invite you to look at whatever it is that you're addicted to from that new perspective of, well, how has this addiction appeared? How has it actually helped me? But then also, how does it hold me back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at why you hold on to it in the first place, it might give you a better understanding of how to release it in the future, or now and in the future.
Mm-hmm.
With the addictions and stuff, is there like I guess it depends on, is there like a chakra or something, or that you can kind of like really, I don't know why that's coming to me, that you can really actually link it to where it's coming from? It can maybe show that maybe that chakra is blocked because you have this type of addiction. Like, so again, if you're saying you're overthinker, you're a control person, could you link that and say, well, it seems like it's your crown chakra, is just like you say sexual addiction. Of course, you would think it's your sacral. Uh,
Well,
Well,
in
see, but
terms in
go
terms of
ahead.
it, most addictions stem from the root,
okay.
because something is not stable or secure, and
Mm-hmm.
there's either an avoidance of that feeling, not wanting to process, because all of everything works together, right? There's no isolation of one particular chakra that's going to show you your addiction. It's probably pulling on a couple different ones, but they all are going to come from that root, right? Because if you don't have the proper boundaries set, or were taught the proper boundaries, you're going to fall into the addiction, right? And an external addiction. If you're going through an internal addiction, that means that you don't trust the universe to allow it, whatever it is, to bring it to you. So there's different aspects of how we dance with our addictions and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
yes, like sexual chakra. I mean, sex addiction is usually not even about the sexual chakra. It's usually about a block in the heart chakra. It's usually
Mm-hmm.
about something within the root chakra. It can even be something with avoiding being creative, avoiding actually putting your creations out because you don't want to have the feedback, right? Because once someone starts looking at something you put out with a lot of passion, you tend to perhaps over identify with whatever it is they have to say, even if it's an interpretation. If you do a piece of art, a painting, for example, some people will like your painting and some people won't like your painting. Now, if you are the type of person who's extremely self critical, which means you think your root is associated with somebody else's words, right, or their thoughts about you, then all of a sudden you're going to say, well, how do I do this? I'm going to avoid it. Well, how else do I channel it? Well, I'm either going to be really angry all the time, or I'm going to be overly sexual all the time. And so it's kind of like uh, a, an avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I'm going to shut down my solar plexus, right? Because I don't want anyone to have power over me. So there's a big kind of dance, but each
Mm-hmm.
each person is individual. But I would say that a majority of addiction has to do with a root issue.
Yeah, it's and a lot of times, like just talking about the sexual addiction, it can stem from a need of love. So it can go all the way back to mother and father issues, self-esteem, not loving yourself enough, um, people telling you that you're not smart, you're not good enough, so low self-esteem. And but you're, oh, you're so good looking, oh, he's got such a great body, oh, he can get all these women. Well, so that's how he makes himself feel better.
Well,
Mm.
that and society has
Mm-hmm.
told XYZ that you're good if
Yes.
you do this, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
do this, there's so many music videos to corroborate that you're a real man if you do this, you know? If you have
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of women there, I watched this video. Oh, this made me so mad. It's this African artist. He came out with this video, and it says it's something like, "I just want to love. I just want to provide security for you. I want to love you. I want to make you feel secure and taken care of." And the video is him with a bunch of women talking about, "I want to make you secure, it's secure and taken care of." I was like, but see, what you're saying and what you're doing are not lining up. And I
No,
think I think a lot of what we have going on right now is people having the intention but not knowing how to follow through with the action.
no,
And
that's a good
so
one.
you
Mhm.
want to be there, you want to be present, you want to be accepting and offer this love, but you have had all these terrible role models, right? So your addiction is, well, my grandfather had 7 wives. Well, does that mean you need to too? Is that really your kuleana? Just because he did XYZ and most of those wives were unhappy and, he was being betrayed by people. Is that really what you're trying to recreate right now? Or are you creating something for yourself? You know, we are rewriting the world. Our history does still exist, but that doesn't mean it's going to define who we are in the now, right? To a certain extent, yes, we come from, let's say, a line of people who have suffered a lot. That doesn't mean we have to take on their suffering or create suffering for the future.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And our addictions will prevent us from actually solving.
Ah,
We can see you in real time, Kathy D. I don't know what's happening. It's so cute. She's just like,
well,
oh.
I'm watching because it acted like it was going to stop, and I was like, no. And then you came back, and I was like, yay.
So
Okay.
so getting in alignment with our actual ways we want to be will help us maybe look at the addiction from different perspectives, because
Mhm.
clearly it slipped in to be compensating for something, to be helping with something. And certain things are really slippery slope, like a cigarette. I just wanted to try a cigarette with so and so, and then it becomes, you go into it almost like autopilot. You do that when you're driving. Sometimes when you've driven the same route over and over again, you just stop thinking and you're driving. And that checkout from the body, although it is a welcome time, right, because your brain needs the rest, but it's about how your body starts to treat itself on an automatic basis. How do you want to fill that void? Is it
Mhm.
emotional eating? Is it, smoking a cigarette? Is it, how are you not allowing yourself to fully process being in body?
Well, and also with the addictions and going back to the sexual addiction, I've read some of the comments on some of those with the twin flames, and um, that they'll say things like, "Well, my DM was never that sexual with me, but with all these other women." Well, hello, ding, ding, ding. He's realized even on the 5D that connection. It's not just that, like you were talking about, like smoking. It's not just a random act, that it means something. So don't then say, well, see, he doesn't have that addiction. If it's proven, it's proven. But we also have to look at the fact that they can have a physical addiction and we can have an emotional addiction. Or we can
Mm,
have a physical addiction and they can have an emotional addiction. Or we can both have emotional addictions or we can both have physical addictions. They're there. If one has one, the other one has one. And that's like what April was saying. We've got to take that time and break it down piece by piece. And in education, we talk about planning backwards. This is the goal, especially like teaching art. This is the
mm,
picture we're going to make, and this is how we're going to get to it. And you go backwards from the picture. So here's my addiction, and well, I notice I do it now these times, and I notice it started here. Well, gee, and I notice that when I do, I feel like this, or if I feel like this is when I do it. And then you keep working backwards. And maybe I saw my mom, or some react a certain way, and I don't want to be like that, so now I'm going to mask that emotion. And
mm.
you literally go backwards till you find out what the root cause is. And a lot of times you need some help with that, because you're going to get so far down the line and then it's just going to be like tree branches and roots, and you're going to be like, I have no clue. I don't know. And that's when you can either ask a good friend that's very trusted and understands the adventure and say, look, this is what I'm looking at. Where am I going with this? And then, you'll start to see where you can tie some of those roots together to those emotions. And the main emotion is what you find at the end. A lot of people drink to cover up anger. I didn't want to be mad like my dad, or I didn't want to be mad or violent like my mom. So I drank because it kept me calm. Understand, anger is like a ball of fire in your belly. And what happens when you pour alcohol on fire? Sooner or later. Unless you're that guy with the forest fires in California that actually saved his house with a refrigerator full of Bud Light. But he's a totally different story. But
Get on out of here.
oh yeah, that was all over the radio. But so you've got to think of how you're trying to put that fire out. And one way to do it, if it's a ball of fire, if it's a ball of emotion, if it's whatever. I mean, we talk about our emotions in balls, and it does make sense when we think of our chakras, because they're like platters, they're circular, they're round. So we have that idea. They're not flat, and they're not just on the front. And when you look at it, they have three-dimensional. They're not just two-dimensional. And when you take those emotions, and that's when you take that energy ball and you put those emotions in there and you start working it. And as you feel the resistance, you make it bigger and bigger. And not only do you put that addiction in there, the true emotion of the addiction. Okay, say it's fear. So, you're just pouring your fear in there. I want to heal my root chakra. I want that energy to move. I want that fear to go away. And I want to step away from this behavior. And you're visualizing, and then you're visualizing yourself stepping away from this behavior. So if it's smoking, if it's exercising, if it's a sexual addiction, whatever, you're imagining yourself being able to step away from that slowly. Please don't ever try to break any addiction cold turkey. That's can kind of get dangerous. Everybody needs some gradual time. You've got to have a learning curve. But then as you do all that visualization, you've got that ball and you really feel it vibrating and moving in your hands. And that's when you just release it out and give it to the universe. And you just keep doing that. That becomes part of your meditation. And then you're mindful of that because it's a reminder, and then you're thankful. That's also your gratitude. I'm thankful because I'm mindful of this, and I'm going to be better at it today. Nobody says you're going to be perfect. Nobody told you had to be perfect. But I'm not going to, I don't know. And I don't know a whole lot about I'll say the exercising, because I don't know too much about the whole sexual addiction thing, but the exercising. So I normally work out 3 hours a day, say, okay? And I've done my energy ball, and I'm going to start taking care of myself, and I'm going to use that extra time to nurture and love me and let my body heal from all of this good work that I've been doing, and spend time with my family and these kind of things. And, so I'm going to take maybe 30 minutes off. So instead of 3 hours, I'm only going to work out for 2.5 hours, and I'm going to take that 30 minutes. And then the next week, now you're down to 2 hours, or however you need to do it. And, and prepare yourself, make sure that if it's an addiction that is around food or around food consumption, always make sure you're prepared. Don't go unprepared to things, pre-prepare meals. Have a plan, if nothing else, a granola bar and some stuff like that, or something healthy that you can throw in your purse. If everybody's having fries, you can have celery. I don't know, but whatever. Always have a plan. Be prepared for it. You can't go into this blindly. So,
Am
Yeah, you went.
I on?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just wondering about the internet. She does bring. Yes, that looks good. That's real.
Uh,
That was a really graceful way to test. Thank you.
Crazy.
Um, I have met. I have met. I have met people. I have met people who have been able to do stuff cold turkey. So it's not impossible. You just have to know yourself. If you're not a cold turkey person,
There you go.
don't. If you can just cut it, cut it. When it comes to something that you actually need to be doing, that is part of a healthy lifestyle, like sex is a healthy thing. It's
Hmm.
unbalanced, unhealthy sex that kind of needs to be curbed. You know what I mean? It's eating is a healthy thing, but it's
Oh
eating a
yeah.
bunch of junk food and eating till you're sick. That's when you're going too far. Negative self talk. Now, here's the deal: if there's a correction level of I'm being too loud or I'm being angry or that I'm just putting people away from me, that is a great kind of corrective behavior. If you're doing it and it's stopping you from doing things in life, that's the addictive part of it, right?
Yep.
And you're using them as excuses to prevent you from getting to where you want to be. And
That's it. It's an
um,
excuse.
I've met some people who have also given me that. I say, why don't you do this beneficial thing for yourself? And they say, well, I have an addictive personality, and if I start doing that, then I'll just be addicted to it, and and they'll go on this whole tangent of the story of taking care of yourself. Like I'm like, hey, why don't you start taking a walk every day? Just a little walk. Well, if I take a walk, then I'll have to take supplements, and I know that I'm going to do this, and I know I'm going to be real overly intensively involved in this situation, and don't get your addiction could be finding excuses. Uh, for why you're not doing the things you need to be doing. Um, so remember, there's many ways to get to the number 9. Where do you actually want to be, and take the time, your time, and work with the divine to get you where you want to go. And it usually starts with something within the mind. So if I wanted to create a good habit for myself, Kathy Lee, what would you suggest?
Um,
Creating a
well,
good habit for myself.
creating a good habit, we have to do. You need to do it for, what do they say, 60
I've heard so
days.
many numbers. I was like
I know.
21,
I've
60, 90.
21, 60, 90. Really, it takes 30 days to either break or make a habit. So that's
Okay.
what you need to work on. Because think about it, anything you've done consistently for a month, it kind of becomes routine. And then you just
Mm.
add, I don't think you actually go on to autopilot with this being a habit until it's about 90 days. Is a true 3 months, but you'll see significant change in your behavior, your addictions, that kind of stuff in 30 days. But to make it a lasting change, 90 days.
So I'm gonna, I guess, pull it back into what you're talking about a little bit earlier, in terms of, let's say the person has an unhealthy exercise addiction, which lends itself to a mild eating disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one would be either just kind of slow down what you're doing more caring exercises as opposed to hard, bad on your
Right.
joints, like overstressing your muscles kind of stuff. And then eating appropriately to make sure that you're adequately fueled, as well as if you want to lose or gain or whatever it is, eating for
Mm-hmm.
that properly. But what would be nice, because we're incorporating building community and fostering a twin relationship. So you can bring them with you. You can bring that energy with
Mm-hmm.
you.
Oh
You can
yeah.
bring your friend with you to create this healthy habit together. So you start to bring in more joy and more love in the experience versus self hatred and punishment, right? Because sometimes we think we need to be punished. So then we do all this extra to punish ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also
So,
like we talked about the other day, the eyes on you, your family, your friends, even if they're not living with you, but especially if they're like you and I are, and they're little people that are watching you, you have to be mindful of the way you're setting your examples. So being, um, you still there? You're getting foggy on me.
yes, we
All
are
right.
here. We are here.
Oh, Divine Sunshine's fine. You're the one that just got a cloudy all of a sudden. That's why I was like, ooh.
As soon as I came back, she
Um,
got cloudy.
but yeah, we have to be mindful of doing things in the right proportion, and the right for our body. Now, granted, Flojo, amazing Olympic athlete, amazing woman. Um, I'm not built like her. I never will be. So the fact that, she could run all these, miles, or Michael Phelps, I am never going to do a lap as fast as he is. But I can enjoy running. I can enjoy swimming. I can have the same joy that they have. Doesn't mean I have to do the same amount they did. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. You should find joy in everything you do. Everything. And when you have the right mindset. I mean, if you're cleaning your bathroom so your family is healthy, then there's joy because you're taking care of your family. You might hate to scrub a toilet. Trust me, I am not a big fan of toilet scrubbing. But if it means that it can keep my girls healthy and keep the house not smelling like, a boys' locker room, then I am all for cleaning the bathroom. But and it's those are how we get out of that mindset of the addictions, because like you said, April, we're doing it for the right reasons, and you're loving on yourself and you're not punishing yourself. And too many times that's what we do. Why do we cut back on calories? Oh, because I had a cookie. Why are you running 10 miles on the treadmill? Oh, because I went out to eat and I ate after 6 o'clock last night.
Or somebody looked at me a certain way and it reminded me that somebody else had looked at me that way, or my mother said I was fat when I was 10 years old, or it's like it's
Or my
very
jeans
sneaky.
aren't fitting the same as they did last year. Or I tried on clothes and it just didn't look like I thought it should. Keyword, thought it should. Okay, I am 5'1" in 3/4. I am not going to look like, a Victoria's Secret runway model in a pair of jeans. I have little legs. It's not happening. I have to cuff all my pants. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can imagine walking in there and being like, yes. But as long as I understand that yes is my yes with my little cuff jeans, then they look like I thought they were supposed to. If I'm thinking I'm supposed to look like a 6-foot supermodel, I'm going to come out of there so depressed and so upset and vow to never eat again. And I'm going to work out till it's crazy. And that's when we start telling ourselves, and that's where that negative talk comes in. We'll see, that's why I never get good guys. Because look how my jeans look. That's why I never get good men. Because I'm this or I'm that or I can't or I won't or and it's that negative talk then feeds in on it. So that addiction it has little feeders on it, and that's what I was talking about, those tree roots, and you got to kind of curb those in. You got to lump them all together and then clip them. So you're stopping that negative talk, because that's why you're going to be on the treadmill for 10 miles, and that's why you're not going to eat for the next 3 days, but you're going to pass out at work and wind up in the hospital. And then all you're going to say to your best friend is, oh my God, and they've got me on a fluid drip. I think it's saline and it's got high salt. I will be bloated when I come out. Well, you'll be alive when you come out too.
when
You
you're when
have to
you're
be.
when you're close to death, like actually death,
Mm-hmm,
and you're a mindful person, because I find that some people, they go into fight or flight, because we've had, I know that Kathy D and both, we've had near death experiences. I don't know if
mm-hmm.
Divine Sunshine has had a near death,
Yes, she has.
but okay. So if you've had a near death experience, you have a tendency to say, what is real and what isn't real, and what am I wasting energy on? Because there's
Mm.
only so many breaths that I get to take in this particular body, and I want to make it count and worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
is you spending 10 to 15 breaths every 5 minutes hating yourself helpful? I don't think so.
No, no.
So
Mm.
let's figure out what we value, and I hope we value ourselves first, right? And let's step forward with that. And the addiction is there. Don't judge it. It's there, right?
Yep.
And you don't have to wear it like a badge. Like, I guess I'm not good enough because I was addicted to X, Y, and Z. No, you're great. You noticed, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people who haven't noticed yet, that need to see you be strong, being you, and coming out of that. And then your vibration will change. How you interact and affect people will change, and it's gonna be great. We're in this together. Trust, we're in this together. And thank you for watching. By the way.
Yeah, I just want to add on to what Kathy D has said about that, because I can hear somebody saying, "But exercising like this 24/7 makes me happy. I don't understand what she's talking about." And so it's a difference of a happiness that, to me, I keep on hearing him saying it's a happiness that you're talking about that you got to talk yourself into, that you're happy. But within yourself saying, I don't feel like doing it, because I know a lot of times, sometimes if I don't feel like that, I have this inward dialogue, a conversation that I had to literally talk myself into doing that. Yes, we're going to do this today. Why? I don't feel like it. We're going to do it because of X, Y, Z. If you're finding yourself having that internal dialogue with yourself, and there's not really coming to a place that you purely feel like you're excessively exercising, or you feel bad, you buy those pair of shoes, the 2002 pair of shoes. It feels good. The thrill of the click on Amazon makes you feel well, but then after a while it hits you and you're like, why the hell did I buy that 2002 pair of shoe? Now where the hell I'm gonna put it? Okay, that's what we're talking about. It might feel good at the moment while you're doing it, but afterwards, that reality kicks in. That same thing like a person's sexual addiction. Okay, while you're in the act and you're getting the person and you're doing the high, and then afterwards you feel like, what the f did I do that for? Now I gotta go home, talk to my wife or whatever. It felt good at the time. So that's what we're talking about, that thrill. I guess the thrill of the chase, or the thrill of the thrill. Is happy for a moment there, but then that kind of wears off as well too. If you really really truthful with yourself, you'll see that at the bottom of it is that something going on to say that's not really truly happiness that's going on there. This is like a surface happy. But when you sit down and it really hits you, like that 2000 pair of shoe, I might not need to do that. That 1 minute of high and fame of me getting my rocks off, well, I forgot about the consequences. What was the cost of me doing that? That's that instant high, but it's not something that's going to stay for long periods of time. So that's what we're talking about. You got to kind of watch that. As we close out, can you just, for between the both of you all, what are some things that a person, because that's the main question they kept on saying, what can I do for my twin? I don't know. I had to let my dog out because her boyfriend was calling her over a couple of years. And that's why she's like, let me out. Then she's talking to her boyfriend. Help us, Jesus. Anyway, so what is the thing that they can do? They saying for them to say that they don't have it, but they feel very strongly they want to do something to help them. Is it some not meditation or what? Meditation or some affirmations? Is it something they should be doing? What can they do as far as to help their partner? So what I'm hearing you say, Kathy D, is that one way is to look and see, okay, if they're a workaholic, you need to look at yourself first thing spiritually and see what is it, or even mental, what is it that you have that's the opposite, just like a mirror. My hand's up, the right hand, the left hand's up in the mirror. So I need to look and see what is it in comparison that I have with my counterpart, instead of just saying that's all him with that sex stuff. And I'm
It can be partially, I can also say that it can bleed into other forms, right? So let's, okay, so for one version of sex addiction, you can be repressing yourself sexually. You can be avoiding expressing yourself through your sex. You've been trying to be Little Miss Anatomical Barbie with no boobs and or nipples, therefore nothing, or no genitals and or nipples. So therefore you just are moot, right? Once you step into your femininity, you can also be like, because they have a sex addiction, you want to press your sexuality away as if that's going to stop them. Well, it encourages, right? Because everything you're doing to suppress yourself and not really allow yourself to be authentically you is causing a search for that, right? In them. Because they're calling to you, right? Their energy is calling to you. So if you're pushing something away, then they are going to be pulling that in, right? Even if you're pushing that away. So so finding that balance, appreciating yourself. If you are avoidant of sexual acts because of you being hurt or something like that from your past, examine that. Allow yourself to be open with yourself. Can you even look at yourself naked without judging yourself and being so harsh and all of this XYZ? Like there's a lot of different aspects of it, but your counterpart accepts you in your entirety. You know, I'm laughing because the example is somebody will grab your belly and they'll be like, "Oh, baby fat," and then you get super offended. This is obviously someone talking from their personal experience. Anyway, you get super offended, and and then you're like, they're after a discussion, they're like, "But I didn't even mean it like that. I meant it to say that, oh, this is the extra part of you, that sweetness," because they didn't say it to be a malice, right? Like I've had someone say to me, "Oh, your ass is so fat," and I'm just like, "Oh, I think you're trying to give me a compliment. You're not trying to offend me and tell me I need to go work out." so, so it's very interesting in terms of how we appreciate ourselves and how someone else appreciates us.
Mhm.
So if you're emotionally eating because you don't want to have sexual desires, which is another way to kind of suppress that emotion, and then it comes up in the counterpart where they have an addiction to, oh my goodness, whoa, that was crazy. They have an addiction either sexually or they want to like not eat, right? So they do things to prevent themselves from eating because they want to have that kind of control. Um, Slow down, look at the self. Anyway, Kathy D, you're ball tossed.
Uh, the main thing is to help your counterpart, especially if you're in the position where you're like, well, I don't have any of these addictions. Yeah, I might have some issues with control, but they're not out of hand. I have them under control. Okay, we'll give you those, and you work on those on another playground episode. But it's unconditional love.
Mm.
You can't fix them. That is their job. You can love them unconditionally, but you're going to wind up in another syndrome, which is like a savior syndrome, that you're coming to save them, that they need you. You're going to pull them out of this depths of this addiction. No, you're not. You're going to wind up codependent with them, and you're going to wind up going right down the rabbit hole with them. You've got to love them, and you've got to have those boundaries. And if happens to be drugs, you can say I love you, and you have to make up your mind on this and deal with this, and know that you are always welcome, at my place or around me, but I just ask that you're clean when you do. And that's all you say. You don't tell them that you don't belittle them. Oh, well, I think you can, honey. Yes, you've got it. Make them feel, even that makes them feel worse. You just state, I love you. I'm not going anywhere, but this is the thing. And it's that unconditional love. That's all you can do. Then while you're doing that unconditional love, you need to go and look at your whole control thing and all of that. But to start with, if you're in the position that you don't think you have an addiction, you need to love unconditionally. And I hope it's going in reverse, because I can see, and what I've gone to school for and all that. I can see all of mine. Like I can like list them out. I can flow chart them. And then but I look at the DM and I'm like, yeah, I don't see a lot of yours. I really don't see what you got to work on, but I got, um, so don't be hard on yourself that way either, because it's reversive. If you've got them, they've got them. So just understand that.
I also just heard work on your chakras. There's a lot of free energy work stuff out
Mm-hmm.
there. My channel, Jupiter 1111 channel, Divine Sunshine's got some really choice stuff for childhood stuff. If you work on that stuff for yourself, it carries over. So
True. That's excellent. Yeah. So that's some things that you can be able to work on. on that. So we're going to continue this. This is just like a little teaser, just to kind of get you some things so you will want to come and join us Friday live at the Sandbox Edition. Between 6:30, 7-ish, somewhere in between there. Just make sure that you watch Divine Unisouls 11. That, and I think I might simulcast it and put it on Divine Matters of the Heart too. I do them two at the same time, just in case, so we get them both ways. Some newbies there too as well. So again, so here we go. I'm gonna go the opposite. I always start with first. So if you want some more good information about how you can see how things are housed in your body, how you're holding all those things, and what body parts, and maybe she can say past lives that might be holding these addictions or whatever it is like that too. It's always a connection with everything. You can go to our own Hawaiian goddess, April Williams, for made this goldenlife.com. Golden Lifestyles Unlimited. She also has lovely meditations too that can be able to help you as well. We have also our own Kathy D here, pineapplefishlifecoaching.com. She's here. She can help you with those Jedi mind tricks, and maybe she can help you with some hypnotherapy as well to help you to change your mindset about some addictions. Maybe you don't want to mention them here, and there's some hidden ones, but maybe after you get to talking to Kathy D, you're like, oh, you mean I'm addicted to drama? Oh, wow. So that's another addiction. You can probably grin that out. I know why people call me a drama queen. I didn't know that was an addiction. So you can point that out to you too as well with Kathy. And also, if you want some good stuff from me as well, as far as readings, I got the Union readings I got going on now, and transformational readings as well. But us collectively, you can also hit us up with the Playground Experience, where you have our own program that you hit for the spirit, the body, and the mind right there. So you got all three of us all together in a nice, big, nice program. As far as make sure that you check that out so you can see. You come up with the concept, you come up with the idea. If you say it's an addiction or something that you really need help with, we can all come up with some kind of program that comes around that topic. Okay, so make sure you hit us. And if you like what we're throwing down and you want to get that notification to know when this live is going to hit, you better hit click, like, and share and subscribe to this channel so you can be able to know when we it's invitation only. No, I was just playing. I'm just lying. So you just make sure that you get on the channel so you can be able to have that and smash that notification bell as well. All right, ladies, get us on out of here. Let's go. Kathy D, what you got?
Wishing you your best life ever. See you real soon.
All right, and April Williams.
Stay blessed, stay golden, and remember, you were made for this golden life.
All right, and as always, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, namago. All right, love you. See you at the Sandbox Edition. Yay!
Bring
See
your
you guys.
Aloha.
questions.
What's your question?
Aloha.
Yay!